sound asleep. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away. Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views.
We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views.
Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling.
Alright, hey guys. Let's see here. Get everything pulled up real quick. We'll dive in. And that song just hypes. Makes me want to go run. It kind of comes on midway through running playlist. That's where you catch that second win. So, let's see. I'm going to start with Bitcoin because we got a new all-time high again today. It's your first time kind of joining in or listening. You're like, what's he talking about? For those of you that have been listening in and kind of watching my analysis and everything, y'all know I'm hyped about crypto and have been since 2017. So today, if I zoom in here, you can see we attempted another breakout of this bull flag we got going on here. We broke and made a new high on Bitcoin across multiple exchanges, which is awesome. So it looks like here on Binance we actually tagged 93,905, but if you look over on some of the other exchanges, we actually broke the 94K mark. So that's great. I didn't expect us to just rip out this first time. Like I've been mentioning on quite a few of these live streams now, I want to see when we break out of Bitcoin, and same thing for any other bullish setup, I want to see increasing buying volume that really helps to push that through that supply zone. So you can see here we are starting to get some increased buying volume going on with Bitcoin. That being said, it looks like we got a rejection at the top of that breakout again, which is totally normal. So breakout attempt, probably back test a little bit here, and then we'll see if we get more buying momentum pushing up from here. Let's see. So Bitcoin, I've seen this several times now, so you can see the measured move for this current bull flag is up here in this 110K range probably. The larger time frame, if I jump over here to the weekly cup and handle setup we have here, which is a massive cup and handle and perfect from a technical standpoint, as a measured move around the 120K range. I'd expect some turbulence around 100K because of the psychological aspect. So from there, I'm going to start hammering through pretty quickly several charts and just kind of keep it to the charts instead of deep dive lessons on some stuff today, just for the sake of stuff. And as I say that, I literally look over and see an alert that Donald Trump is considering replacing SEC chair with a pro crypto guy. Awesome. Fantastic. Y'all know about that life. So let's see. Bitcoin obviously looks good. Some other tickers that did amazing today that are kind of those cheaper tickers that we've been trading swing calls on without having to risk a lot of capital but still yielding excellent gains are going to be AAPL. This is one that Applied Digital, I think several people started to question the setup and some even bailed potentially, and I did cover my cost basis earlier on, so it was a bit easier to ride this. But look at this massive green candle, and more importantly, I know it's kind of small here, notice how we have increasing volume with this breakout. Like I was mentioning, what we want to see for bullish tendencies for a breakout move like this. I still want to see us push above this resistance here that we previously rejected at. That being said, this inverse head and shoulders is definitely in play here. You can see that we're moving the right direction. We've got the breakout back test of the neckline and bullish continuation. So the measured move on this thing is up in that $20 range, give or take. Once we confirm a breakout, I do want to see us get back above this range over here. I would expect a little bit of maybe back and forth turbulence in that area before getting a full upside break, but at any rate, Apply Digital, we're in some swing calls that are rocking here. Another one that I'm going to look at real quick, which I told y'all yesterday whenever I pulled it up that it was very much outside the norm of something that I would normally trade, just because it's not a stock that I'm super familiar with. But I saw some movement on the Unusual Whales options chain that stood out to me on one of my screeners, and then I looked at the chart and was like, okay, why not? I'll throw $250 at it, and it was insane. Let's see. What's the ticker? I'm going blank, sorry, because I haven't actively traded it. So, ACRS. ACRS. Sorry, can't type. So, it's one of those random biochem companies. Look at this. So, yesterday we entered these calls as a lotto for $25 each. And this thing went from like $2 to just absolutely ripped. Yesterday we were up on the calls. I held them overnight, and they hit like 620% gains today. So that was fun. It kind of reminded me of some of the meme movement that we had back in 2021. I did leave a few runners on those calls just because I'm curious more than anything. And that, look at the huge, massive candles of the volume. So I want to see what happens here. It was a huge move, so like definitely not just playing that as greedy. I'll trim them and close them out tomorrow, but yeah, that was absurd to kind of watch that move all day long. The one key level that I was kind of concerned about, that it looks like we kind of hesitated at a little bit, but then blew past this morning, was that gap fill level at 435, which was the gap that we filled over here. You can see that we pushed and closed above that, so we actually closed the day with another bull flag. So I'm curious if this gets some bullish continuation tomorrow and moves higher. There was some news that came out shortly after seeing those calls that there was a change from one of the analysts that came in. They adjusted the price target for this stock from $3 to $13. So that came in after we'd already entered the calls based off the movement on the flow. So we'll keep riding that out and watching it. Yeah, Tony, as far as covered call candidates and talking through covered call candidates, I'm going to do that like in a separate video or topic, because that's going to take some time to talk through. Plus, different people have different capital that they're willing to spend on covered calls. So I think, honestly, I know you're trying to find covered calls on some of these stocks and kind of what you're planning on doing. Cash secured puts may be a better place to start on a stock that has a significant pullback and is coming off a bounce at key support. That way you're getting max money for your puts that you sell, and then it basically is a good way to ease into selling premiums, because you can then will it if you get assigned and sell covered calls on the stock. So jumping back over to some of these tickers, let's see. So we did Apply Digital. So SoFi is getting another big bullish push. Another one that right now you can see has this beautiful bull flag going on yet again. The only thing I'm not loving here is the lacking volume a little bit. I'd like to see a volume increase, a push out to the upside. That being said, SoFi built this bull flag. It retraced to fill this gap here perfectly, which is why I've got this actually marked here, so it can be a good learning opportunity for people. And now we are looking for the breakout. So SoFi is rocking and doing good. Affirm is another one that's looking excellent. So you can see here, from a technical standpoint, look at this. Like, these technicals are being awesome. These are great stocks regardless of what the broader market is doing. These are the kinds of trade setups that a lot of retail traders could be trading. For one, it's a lot more friendly with your bank account sizes and your trading and portfolio sizes for the most part, without having to trade like $500 contracts on some of the large tickers for next year. But you can trade options contracts on a lot of these tickers for even under $100 per contract and still yield significant percentage gains. So you can see we're attempting and starting a breakout here. Like I covered on yesterday's video, we've got multiple bullish setups going on here. Aside from the bull flag breakout, which we now have continuation and confirmation of, we also had a bullish megaphone pattern that we broke out to the upside on. So Tony says apologies for my neediness. It's okay, buddy. We've come to expect it, and it's okay. Let's see. Target is another one people are asking about, and don't feel bad if y'all are asking questions and stuff. Again, I love that. Ask questions. If I can't cover the topic in this session just because time, I can make it a point to add it to my list, which I might as well call the Tony list at this point, because I think you got 5 or 6 topics for short videos, but that's okay. Bring them on, because you're asking the questions, and I think those are questions that a lot of other retail traders have the same types of questions. So, looking through the stock list here, I want to make sure we touch on some of the ones we've been actively trading, and then I'll jump towards some of these others as well. Mara and Riot and many other crypto stocks all had a really solid move again today. So Coin and MicroStrategy are excellent examples, and we were talking about MicroStrategy at the end of last week when people were feeling panicky. But Coin, look at this. Let's look at the weekly chart, because I've been talking about Coin's bullish breakout setup for weeks now. Look at this. We had this bullish setup here, and then we broke out to the upside, note, with increasing volume. And keep in mind, this is a weekly candle, so the weekly candle volume you're seeing here isn't actually accounting for the full week. That's the volume already through today of this week. But at any rate, strong, solid breakout to the upside here. Massive green candles. You got the bullish momentum of multiple crypto things with the new president coming into play, as well as some of the cabinet members that he's putting in place. So I'll be looking for a move up to that 357 level on Coin. We'll see if we reject it or if we hold out. MicroStrategy, like I've mentioned multiple times before, this thing is one that is just going to keep on ripping with Bitcoin just because their holdings are so significant at this point. I also saw a news update a few minutes ago that they are supposed to be having Saylor, which is CEO there, is supposed to be having a meeting with Microsoft about purchasing Bitcoin too. So MicroStrategy is going to keep on being strong. This is one of those that can continue to run hard into next year. I think people thought that this bull flag setup here that had a measured move of that 500 range was ridiculous, and look, here we are, less than 2 months later, now almost treading on that measured move up there. So while that big of a move seems like a kind of extreme for most stocks and tickers within the tech realm, you're talking about crypto-based, coin-based stocks that are going to continue to rip. So another good example of that without direct exposure to crypto, but moves because of the retail sentiment and movement, is Robinhood. So you can see here, just talking from a technical standpoint, we're going for another bullish breakout here. Moving to the upside, I'd like to see it get above that resistance level because it's trying to tread. It got above the resistance and it's kind of riding that as a support at this moment. So we'll see if it can hold that support and push for more upside momentum in the coming days and weeks. PayPal is another one I'll touch on real quick. Tony asked about it. So Tony, this one is, like you can see, we're still in the bullish breakout, right? From that bull flag, that's the measured move. That being said, you were asking about entry. I think it was you on some calls. I'm still in some runner calls from this previous trade setup in the move. I wouldn't personally be entering fresh calls up in this range. I'm riding runners, but you got to keep in mind I've already covered my cost basis, so the risk in my exposure is pretty minimal. All I'm risking at this point is some of the actual gains only. I'm not risking any of my initial investment money from it. So PayPal still bullish setup at the moment. We'll see if it consolidates in the range and pushes higher, or if it ends up rejecting at this point, kind of falls back. Let's see, Sound. Did we look at Sound yet? Sound's another one that's kind of got the pullback and consolidation going on at this point. It got its pullback and bounced at that support level. This is the levels that you want. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of glance down like this, and you can look over here and look at the legend in the description to see what the lines mean. But essentially, solid yellow equals major resistance. Minor resistance equals dotted yellow, right? So this is the levels you want to watch on Sound going forward. We did Affirm, Hood, others. Apple. Sorry, looking at 3 different places. What are my thoughts on, and looking at the chats as well, trying to keep up, because I'm looking at the YouTube chat as well as in 2 different Discord chats for the lounges. So if y'all want anything at all, just put them there. I'll find it. It may just take me a minute, but I'll definitely, Emsky and Nub, I'll look at Target as well as IWM as well, because I'm in some longer term calls on IWM, and we scalped or tried to scalp some puts on it earlier today, which pure lotto that. So Apple is one I want people to be careful on here, for multiple reasons. Just because right now the uncertainty with what the tariff impact is going to be on Apple next year, and like I know people overall want to be bullish on Apple because the setup can be bullish, but the setup can also be bearish. So we actually broke that uptrend here, which is already a bearish sign at this point. I understand that this, from a larger standpoint, could be considered an ascending triangle. That being said, we also have a taper of volume happening over here as well, showing that there is weakening buying pressure coming into play with each of these continued higher lows. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you're looking purely at a higher low type setup, is the volume profile and what the implications are of that. What I'm watching here is to see, do we reject at this downtrend line on this side again? If we do, and we get confirmation of rejection and look like we're going to play out the bear flag, then at that point I'll probably re-enter some fresh puts. For the time being, I'm not trading calls or puts in new positions on Apple because we don't know which direction this thing's going to play out yet. So, and sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit off, I apologize. Hopefully you can still understand what I'm saying. Apple is one we looked at. So real quick, I'm going to start with the chat, and then I'll come back over to our normal list. So Target, honestly, I haven't looked at Target in a few weeks. The price action and movement for Target the last month or two has been kind of wacky for options trades. Honestly, just because the underlying stock has been in such a tight range that the IV kind of crushes them nonstop. So, that's some key levels you can watch right here in the zone for Target. I'm not actively trading it, so take it with a grain of salt, but that's the levels you'd want to watch on Target. IWM, I am actively trading that, so I'm actually digging the setup today. I eased into some swing calls yesterday. Yeah, we initially dipped this morning off the news, but we bounced right back once we tagged that support level again right above that trend line. So, watching this to see how it plays out right now. It does have a shorter term downtrend that we're consolidating here that could play out as a bear flag. That being said, the options flows that I was seeing look more bearish sentiment related as compared to, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They look more bullish sentiment related as compared to bearish sentiment related. So I am easing very lightly into some swing calls here on IWM for next year. If we reject breakdown, I'll trade put short term. But this is the levels you want to look at on IWM. Apologize for all the minor support levels here. Like I said, we're scalping it earlier today, so I marked them. But the solid yellow are the more significant levels you want to watch, as well as this gap fill level at 224.29 that's lingering on IWM. So, did IWM, did Target. BST is crypto. I'll come back to that in a minute. Meta. I hadn't looked at Meta since last week, so Meta's got a bear flag going on again. So that's actually what you have going on here. Technically, it's sort of the same bear flag range that we had going on previously. I'll delete this just to make it a little bit cleaner to see. But you can see it's trying to catch a bounce there. There is a gap, it looks like, still lingering right here that we could very easily head to fill. Not the right purple, I don't think, but you get the point. So there's a gap and a demand zone that used to be a supply zone right in that area. So it might go down lower to test that uptrend. We'll see how that shakes out at this point for Meta. What other tickers you asked about? JPM. The JPM is one that's interesting, and I think that if you keep up with the news related to Trump and all that, you'll kind of see why. It already played off that one measured move for the calls we traded previously. I'm skeptical to say the least on this setup. I don't like this huge gap lingering at this point, so I would be careful with that. This wants to be bullish, but also it could tank and drop and fill the gap hard. So just be careful if you're going to trade JP Morgan. I'm not actively going to trade it here until I see some confirmation one way or the other. VST, I'm assuming you're talking about VST crypto, right? Or are you talking about VST stock? I don't know which one you're referring to. So, Cybercash or whoever else is out there typing, if you want to clarify for me, I can look at it. Let's see. while we're waiting on clarity on that, let me jump over here real quick. So SQ is another one that we entered calls on yesterday that once we got the confirmation of the breakout, and they worked great today. I think they offered respectively 37% and 46% gain. So that's a good example that you don't have to take the risk of entering calls down here and hoping it plays out. Instead, you can wait for the confirmation breakout, retest of the neckline, and move to the upside. So that worked out well. Still riding it here for sure because we broke above that resistance level, which is a bullish sign. Another one that I'm actively trading that we entered calls on today is Unity Software. And I haven't drawn the lines on this one yet because it's over on my other chart, but here we'll do this together, even though it's going to be more of a learning opportunity than pure technical analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and put, that is not what I'm trying to put, I'll put it there. But what you can see here on the weekly time frame is there's definitely some support in this range here, and then we've got resistance right up here in this zone as well. And yeah, I could have drawn it up here, but I'm being conservative. We know that all these levels served as resistance, so more important to mark it there. Also, you can see here what was previously resistance has now become support, right? So that's on the weekly chart. If I jump over to the daily, it shows a bit clearer perspective of what's going on here. You have what looks like it was the inverse head and shoulders that played out there, moved to the upside, completed, and then we retrace back to test this level as support now. If we were to look, you can see we broke out of this downtrend, to the upside previously, and now we're back testing to some extent. That also could arguably be considered a cup and handle that we've got going on here. So I started easing into some calls for one, based off that big buying candle we have there coming off that support level at the back test. Minimally, we had to 21.75. Ideally, we've maintained bullish momentum and pushed higher. And for those who are still hanging in, I am going to cover NVDA here in a minute because I know they have earnings tomorrow, and I'll kind of tell you what my thoughts are there. So going with this, you can see we've got another earnings upcoming. We just had good earnings. So yeah, this is actually a good entry for longs on Unity Software. NVIDIA and many of the other semiconductors are going to look very similar at the moment, and that's because the hype heading into earnings. I am not biased one way or another about NVIDIA earnings. Selfishly, I have some shares long term that I probably should sell covered calls against before we head into earnings tomorrow, but we'll see how things go. I haven't looked to see what the expected move is on the NVIDIA options heading into earnings. Let's look real quick together. And this Options AI website's actually a really good one that y'all can use. It's free, and it does a really good job of pulling the data to show what the implied move is of the options. So, I mean, it's not terrible right now. If I look a month out, about a 10% move is what's expected. So, what's that mean and why does that matter? That means that the implied move on the options through December 13th is 10% following earnings. So what happens if NVIDIA only moves, let's say, 3%, 4%, 5% following earnings, is all those options that are outside that range that basically have an expected move, implied volatility baked into them of a larger move, they're going to get what's called IV crush, and the premium's going to tank even if the option, or even if the share moves in the direction in which you want. Say if you're in calls and it moves to the upside, you may still lose money on your calls. That's why for me, I personally prefer to not directly trade earnings. What you can do with something like NVIDIA is trade other semiconductor stocks or chip stocks. So there's a long list of them, but AMD, MU, SMH is an ETF for many of them. Technically, with the movement the way it is nowadays, you could even use QQQ and get exposure. TSM is another good one. Qualcomm, ASML, Molecular Power's got other stuff going on, so be careful there. But yeah, like really, if I'm going to do it, the same thing as with Tesla earnings. I didn't trade Tesla directly. I traded Rivian, and we made great gains. You don't expose yourself to the same IV crush by doing that. So NVIDIA, you can see the previous highs level here, that there's definitely some resistance there. Earnings going to be either really positive catalyst or probably a negative catalyst. I do want to say that like, be careful with the mindset that a lot of retail traders have, especially on like a lot of the Facebook groups and stuff, that earnings equals pump, because that's just not a guarantee. And even with NVIDIA having great earnings here, I mean, look, it still sold off what was earnings? This one right there. I want to measure that. It still sold off over 20% drop off last earnings, which was good earnings with positive outlook. So, again, be careful here, especially with the upcoming potential tariffs and the implications on that. That's going to probably sting NVIDIA a bit in 2025, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Jensen or others call that out as part of the earnings call. Jensen does a good job of hyping for earnings and everything and kind of ramping people up during the earnings calls, but even then, just be careful, because while NVIDIA can definitely keep pushing higher following earnings, the initial movement can be hit or miss. The difference between this earnings and last earnings is if NVIDIA drops off of earnings and breaks either of these current trends that we have in play, you're going to get a multiplication factor going on there where we're going to get harder selling off with capitulation because people aren't going to want to ride that out. So we reject and fail and break below this level, especially be careful. If we break 136, we're probably going to go test this trend line down here around that 127 mark. If we break that trend line, watch out, because we're probably going to go test that 108 level. So again, watch out there. If we do break out to the upside, you can see I've had this measured move here for a while to 175. That'd be cool if we move up to that level. I might actually consider selling off or trimming off some shares at that point. But sorry, I mean to yawn on the stream here, but like I said, I think I've got a cold or something. I'm kind of out of whack here. More coffee is always the answer. Let's see, any other tickers that people requested real quick before I close out or cover the last part here. So yeah, alright, looks like I covered the ones that are on the active list. Real quick, we can glance at a couple of the cryptos that we've jumped in the last few days for those that have been trying to enter into crypto now. Bonk. So earlier today, it's funny because this morning there was a tweet from Elon about the Doge hammer or something specific to one of the regulation aspects with the Department of Government Efficiencies, but we got the same like knee-jerk reaction we used to get when Elon would tweet about Doge back in the day. So check this out. It's been a while since we actually saw that type of reaction come as a result of an Elon tweet, but if I look at the 5 minute, I'll look at this morning, so right there. So Elon tweeted like right in here, and then we ripped up, and then we pulled back immediately after kind of the tweet settled a bit. So and then we continued more upward momentum later in the day and pulled back. So still bull flag forming on Doge, it looks like. Measured move of Doge is going to put us up in that 57-cent range. Jib. Oh no, that didn't click the 101. Jib shop. Alright. Shib. See here, same thing, kind of bull flag going on there. Potentially inverse head and shoulders, it looks like there, but we'll see what happens if we break out to the upside here. A lot of the quick selling and buying back immediately you're seeing on a lot of these cryptos right now, that's the paper loss harvesting I was telling you about to kind of come to expect later on in the year. So still bullish momentum, bullish continuation. Looks like we're trying to push for more upside. We've almost completed the measured move here for the inverse head and shoulder setup that was right here, and we entered fresh sol positions for people here and measured move there. Forget how much percentage that measured move was, but see how far up we are. Currently up about 61% off that entry, so loving that. People were asking as well how I felt about Solana into 2025. This is basically how I feel about Solana into 2025. So the measured move of this bull flag, similar to what you saw in MicroStrategy earlier, is actually absurd. The measured move on this bull flag actually is somewhere in like the $800+ range. Before you feel like that can't happen with Solana, just go look at some of the other crypto stocks on these larger cryptos like Ethereum or Bitcoin or others earlier on in their life. Yeah, Vanya, I can cover Tesla as well. I don't think I actually did cover Tesla yet, so I'll circle back and cover it real quick. But Yeah, Solana is a great project to get in. You're going to see a lot of growth in the Solana ecosystem into next year. Let me look at Tesla real quick and show you what I'm seeing there. Because I was looking at earlier today, debating on selling more covered calls, and I held off. Although I kind of regret it again. So I might sell more covered calls tomorrow. I keep debating if I want to clean slate my Tesla chart for y'all. Because it feels like it's so busy down here in this range down below, but really there's a lot of relevancy within that range as well. So maybe I'll go through and clean up some of those levels, especially all the gap fills that we kind of completed down there. But more importantly, for the moment, what we need to see on Tesla is whether or not it's going to hold above this 342.72 level. So it rejected across that twice on the daily charts. You can see here it's trying to attempt to push up again. One thing that stands out to me with today's push above is notice how the volume is actually tapering down. Typically whenever you have lessening volume and you're pushing for a fresh breakout like this, whenever you have the volume taper off, unfortunately it leads to a harder sell off and a faster sell off, which wouldn't shock me with Tesla honestly here, because we've got several gaps to the downside that have not been filled. And I would feel better about my long-term Tesla positions on shares here. Like, I'm in no long-term swing calls, not trading swing calls on Tesla. Risk to reward's just flat out not worth it for me. I'll hold my shares and I'll keep selling covered calls against them. I'm not even recommending, because somebody asked me, 2 or 3 people asked me this morning if I would trade puts on Tesla here, and I won't yet personally. The option premiums are just out of whack at the moment, and risk to reward for how much it costs to buy either of them far enough out to actually justify the move in the safety range is just not worth it. So I'll wait to actually trade anything on swing basis. As a buyer on Tesla, I'll continue to sell covered calls into the resistance levels. I might scout calls or puts on Tesla here and there, but like not messing with any like swings on Tesla from a actual option standpoint right now. If people are doing that or telling you to, it's risky as hell, and that's coming from someone that has actively traded Tesla on pretty much a weekly basis for the last 3-4 years now, I guess. So since back in 2021. So I've learned how Tesla works a lot on both sides, and there's a reason why you see me selling covered calls into it at this point. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the coming days. I don't think there's any other stocks that were in the request list. Pepsi long calls. Sorry, asking for. No, you're good. Don't feel bad, dude. I don't know if you're in the Discord or not, but you'll see that I'm actually a big fan of small account stuff, and I like doing small account challenges. So Pepsi for me is one of those stocks that like maybe you can trade it. I don't know, it feels like almost in a way that it's slow moving, even though I know it's got a pretty rapid range there. And maybe I feel this way because I'm a southerner, and therefore Pepsi's just not my thing. I know it sounds odd, but like, I'm over here sipping on a Coke at the moment. But anyways, that's nothing to do with technicals, and I'm not saying I'm biased against trading Pepsi because of that. So maybe there's some support in this range. I mean, if you want to go long on it, for me personally, it's just one of those things that there's a lot of other tickers I probably would trade for the same capital as compared to buying like longer term calls on Pepsi. And I feel like people think things like Pepsi, Coke, and like some of the other kind of commodity type tickers for food and stuff are safe haven to some extent, but they are and they aren't. So like I think that ultimately, like depending on what your capital is, and if you are in the Discord or anything, Southern, yeah, exactly. If you're in the Discord or anything and want to ask in the lounge or want to message me, or tell me in the lounge to message you so that we know that there's no spammers acting like ethical trader trying to contact you. But if you want to kind of hit me up, I can figure out maybe some working capital type trades that make sense based off how much capital you're using. That would be a good exercise too to do for a lot of people in the Discord, because I know a lot of people are using small to mid-sized accounts. And like I said, I like doing challenges on small to mid-sized accounts all the time. So maybe I'll switch up and set up one of these accounts to do something like a more slow and stable growth type approach as compared to higher risk options type approach. So cool. I can do more technicals on this later on if you want me to, but in the meantime, I'm going to wrap it up and go in here and hang out with the family because I know the kiddos are being chaos at the moment. If y'all do listen in either now or later, please do give it a like and subscribe if you find value in it. If there's any other tickers you want me to take a look at or topics you want me to cover from a training or learning standpoint, please do either shoot me a message or comment it. That way I can put it on a list to make some short videos on those topics. I'd be happy to do that because I learn more by kind of explaining and talking through things. And also I feel like it's a great way to help others to learn stuff without going through the hard lessons the way some of us had to earlier on. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close out this stream, and then if y'all have anything else you need help on, hit me up. Thanks all. Have a great night.